The morning pea with the pain of 1,000 swords. Today we're talking bladder infections. Inconvenient, excruciating, and a pain in the you-know-what. So if you want relief from a UTI or to find out how to best prevent them, keep watching.
Veggie Magnifique.
Hello, this is Anne from Veggie Magnifique, and today we're talking about something... a bladder infection, otherwise known as a UTI. So the long and the short of it is E. coli gets in your urinary tract and it causes all hell to break loose. Now, E. coli is an interesting thing. In fact, it is of animal origin, and according to Dr. Greger, specifically from chicken. So let's read a bit from Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Die, where he's talking about UTIs. So, as a result, we now have direct proof that bladder infections can be a zoonosis, an animal-to-human disease. This is a critical discovery since UTIs affect more than 10 million women each year in the United States, and that's not including other countries, at the cost of more than $1 billion. Even worse, it turns out that many of the strains of E. coli in chicken that cause UTIs are now resistant to some of our most powerful antibiotics. So wait a sec, if you're not consuming chicken, doesn't that mean that you're kind of free and clear? Well, sadly, no, because there's so much cross-contamination. I quote, "One of the reasons animal foods are the leading culprits is that most foodborne pathogens are fecal pathogens, because plants don't poop. The E. coli you may get from spinach didn't actually originate in the spinach. E. coli is an intestinal pathogen, and spinach doesn't have intestines." Yikes. So I'll let you do some more research in this book and others, but now let's talk about how to prevent UTIs. Because it's a million times better to prevent a UTI, as torturous as they are, than try to cure it. So here are my top tips for prevention. First of all, it goes without saying, but stay hydrated. Drink copious amounts of water. Always pee when you need to. A lot of people just get too busy to pee. Don't. Always go pee. Always. So another thing to keep in mind with regard to prevention is to, of course, separate your cutting boards. If you do eat animals, you have an animal cutting board and you have a vegetable cutting board. And of course, you want to wash your vegetables extremely well. You want to be very hygienic to avoid any cross-contamination. Another tip is to eat a more alkaline diet. Now, this is extremely important. Suffice it to say that whole plant-based foods are much more alkaline in general than dairy, meat, processed foods, sugary things. And on that note, sugar consumption weakens the immune system, giving bacteria a better chance to overgrow and invade your body. Refined sugar, right? So we're not talking about bananas here. So refined sugar also depletes your body of its vital nutrients and further weakens the body's defenses. So does this mean that in prevention of a UTI you can never have a treat? No, it just means pay attention to it. Don't overdo it. If you feel like you've had maybe too much sugar for breakfast or something, be mindful for the rest of the day that you're not going crazy. So other acidic foods that you're going to want to avoid are, of course, sugary beverages, pop, soda, whatever you call it, processed foods. You're also going to want to pay attention to your caffeine consumption, your alcohol consumption. These are all acidic things. And of course, smoking and negative habits are deleterious in this regard as well. Next up, take probiotics. Keep that gut flora happy. Then wear cotton underwear. Synthetic fabrics kind of act as an incubator for pathogenic bacteria, so you really want to be mindful of that. So for example, be careful of not wearing like synthetic G-strings up there that kind of move around. Also, of course, avoid wearing too tight pants, too tight shorts, anything that's all up in there. So also, go easy on the soap down there. We might think that by going to town with a bunch of soap is a good thing, but actually it can disrupt the pH balance, and it can also kind of irritate and cause inflammation, which isn't conducive to warding off infection. Use the most natural, pure, vegan, cruelty-free, pure soap that you can find, and just remember, a little dab will do ya. Next, of course, pee before and after you get frisky. It's a classic, but don't forget. And lastly, in terms of prevention, if you are prone to UTIs or you've gotten them before, take D-MANNOSE after getting intimate. So on that note, let's now talk about some natural cures for UTIs. So first off, if you feel something coming on, quickly take D-MANNOSE in some cranberry juice, unsweetened, and drink a ton of water. A ton, as you know. So again, make sure you get some cranberry juice, the unsweetened kind, and add that to your water. Now, a lot of these things that are going to cure you are similar to our prevention methods. When you have a bladder infection and you're seeking to cure it naturally, you're going to want to avoid caffeine, obviously alcohol, and a big one, acidic foods. Again, don't eat any processed food, any animal product, any of that stuff that's really going to hamper your progress of healing. Another thing you're going to want to do to boost your immune system is to take vitamin C. Now, I recommend you take food source vitamin C, so camu, baobab. Health Force Nutritionals has a nice vitamin C. I think it's acerola cherry, because food sources are better than the cheap ascorbic acid. But if that's what you have, go for it. This is going to help to boost your immunity. Next, apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is extremely powerful. Basically, it works by flushing out bacteria by kind of dislodging it from the urinary tract. Now, you want to find an apple cider vinegar that still has the mother intact. So another treatment that I've read about, though I haven't really experimented enough personally, is corn silk tea. So the idea is that you drink organic corn silk tea all day long, and apparently it's very helpful. So if you have tried this, please leave me a comment below and let me know how that has worked for you, and that'll also help other viewers as well. So let's talk about antibiotics, because that's kind of the elephant in the room here. A lot of people take antibiotics for UTIs. Now, I'm not saying that there are no cases where you shouldn't take antibiotics. However, antibiotics can really mess up your microbiome. In essence, antibiotics kill the good bacteria and the bad bacteria in the gut, which ends up in a vicious cycle of UTI, take antibiotics, get a yeast infection because you didn't take probiotics while you were taking antibiotics. A lot of doctors actually prescribe antibiotics without saying, hey, you should probably take probiotics as well. And it's a whole vicious cycle of pain. Also, of course, when we kill off all the good bacteria in our gut, it weakens our immune system. And one thing to keep in mind is that a lot of people use fear tactics to get you to take antibiotics, like, oh, you don't want it to get into your kidneys. And true, you don't. But by trying some or all of these techniques, you can most likely naturally heal yourself at home. And if, as the days go on, it doesn't completely go away after, say, 10 days, unless you have extreme symptoms, then at which point you can say, okay, maybe I need antibiotics. And of course, take probiotics. But be patient with yourself and be really religious about these different techniques. Give yourself a sporting chance to heal yourself naturally so that you don't have to take antibiotics, which will totally mess up your gut bacteria and other aspects of your health. So my last tip, and a really important tip, is if you are prone to getting UTIs and bladder infections, like it just plagues you, I highly recommend the Dr. Schultz kidney and bladder detox. So this is a herbal detox. There's like tinctures and teas and things, and it is extremely powerful for recalibrating your system and cleansing your organs and your organism, which looks at health as a more holistic aspect. So I've given you tips to prevent and heal. But if you have an acidic system, or if you're still eating, chicken and other things, that's gonna up your chances of getting these painful infections. Worth it. If you're prone to UTIs, this is an amazing product for you. So that's it, guys. I really hope that you found this video helpful. If you have any other tips to help other women, please leave them in the comments below so that people can benefit from your experience. I will look forward to reading your comments as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'd be grateful if you share this with anyone who's been plagued by bladder infections, because they're excruciating. So if we can help others in any way, that's great. Also, please help us by giving us a thumbs up and maybe hit that subscribe button if you think that you find our content helpful or amusing. Join us over at the blog, where we have recipes and holistic health advice, as well as a lot of other goodies. You can also join us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll look forward to seeing you next week for another Veggie Magnifique TV video. And of course, take care.